welcome to my YouTube channel, Healthy Cooking with Shayda. This is where I teach you how to make simple, healthy, delicious meals that are salt, oil, and sugar-free. Well, Thanksgiving is here, and it's time that we start thinking about what we're going to serve during our holiday meal. And one of the dishes that everyone's asking me about is stuffing. So today, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to be making my holiday wild rice, cauliflower, mushroom stuffing. Super easy, super simple, and I'm going to show you how to put it in a beautiful dish and how to serve it so that your entire family can enjoy. So what we're going to start out with first is you want to make sure that your pan is really hot. In it, we are going to add our onion that you've already chopped. So you want to chop it up and dice it really nice. We're also going to add celery. Notice I haven't added any water or anything to this. We're going to do that if in case we need it. We're going to add carrots, and we are going to add bell peppers. So you want to give this a good mix. And what I want to do at this point is I'm going to put the lid on, and I want to sweat this out. The vegetables have a lot of moisture in them, so really you don't need that much water at this time. If you see that the vegetables are starting to stick to the pan, then go ahead and add maybe like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of water. Don't add a lot, just add a very little bit, mix it again, put the lid on, and let it do its thing. So we're going to do this for about 7 to 8 minutes by that point, because what I'm looking for is for all the vegetables to get a little bit tender. I don't want them mushy and soft. I want it to still have a little bite to it, but I do want it to get softer because eventually, once this is done, we are going to bake this in the oven, so it will cook again a little bit longer. So it's been about 7 or 8 minutes, and I want to show you, and you see all the sweat that is starting to happen, all the moisture that's in there? Well, that's because of all of our vegetables that are inside. So if you take a look, it's starting to brown a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I still don't need to add a lot of water or any water for that matter, because once I start adding the mushrooms and the cauliflower and everything else, they're going to release more moisture, and mushrooms have a lot of moisture in them. So I am to this adding shiitake mushrooms and baby bella mushroom. I'm also adding to this cauliflower, and you just want to chop it up. You don't want to do rice cauliflower. You want to have some texture and bite to it. We're also going to be adding butternut squash, because what would Thanksgiving be without butternut squash? You want to mix all this really well. And at this point, this is where I add the garlic. I don't want to add the garlic right at the beginning because I don't want the garlic to burn. So it's the perfect time to add it, and I love garlic. And so you want to add as much or as little as you want. At this point, make sure you mix this really, really well. And then we're going to put the lid back on, and we're going to let this cook down for probably another maybe 10 minutes or however long it takes for the vegetables to cook down. So I want to show you how this is starting to come together. And as you can see, there's a lot of moisture in here. At the beginning or in the middle, I did add just maybe like a teaspoon of water to this, just because it was starting to stick. But the longer that this is cooking, there's more water, and so we really don't need to be adding anything. I'm going to let this cook for a few minutes longer, let it get really nice and soft, and then we're going to start adding all the seasonings and everything else that needs to go with it. So our vegetables have softened up, and I've turned the stove off because now we're going to start adding everything else to it. The rice, this takes about 5 cups of wild rice cooked, and you can cook the wild rice any way that you like. I think the easiest way of cooking the wild rice is in the Instant Pot. So if you have one, make sure that you're using it to cook the wild rice. Super easy to make. All it takes is 3 cups of wild rice, uncooked. You're going to add 4 cups of water or vegetable broth to the pot. You're going to close the lid, and on your Instant Pot there's a function called multi-grain. You're just going to hit that, and that's it. Once the rice is done cooking, you're going to want to let the pressure come down naturally. So that's probably another, I would say another 30 minutes of it to come down. And at that point, once everything is done, go ahead and open it up, and you've got wonderful wild rice like this that you can go ahead and use. It really doesn't get any easier than that. I think when you cook it on the stovetop, it takes much longer for it to cook, so why not do it in the Instant Pot, especially if you have one. Something else that's going into this stuffing is, because I absolutely love it, it's called dried barberries. Dried barberries is very similar to cranberries and to currants, and it's extremely high in vitamin C, and it has a lot of nutritional benefits. Being Persian, we cook an awful lot with these barberries. They are, I would say, a little bit on the tart side, so they're not really sweet. So if you don't like anything sour, then this may not be for you. But if you haven't tried it, give it a try. You can find dried barberries either in the Middle Eastern stores, or if you go to my Amazon affiliate page, I will put a link to it in the show notes. You can buy this on Amazon, super easy. And what you want to do is, when you get this, is you want to go through it, and like I'm going to use probably about a half a cup for this recipe because it will double up in size. What you want to do is go through it, rinse it under cold water, and take out if there's any rocks or anything in there that shouldn't be in there. So clean it really well, and then what you want to do is soak it in water for about 15 to 20 minutes. What I like to do is I like to cook it, to soak it in these little colanders, and you take it out, and then the water's underneath, and then you'll see how much, stuff comes out. And that's what we're going to use in here. If you don't want to use the barberries, that's not a problem. You could add cranberries to this, you can add cherries to this, you can add whatever you like to this. I'm also going to be adding some dried mango to this. So it'll give it a nice little flavor. So let's go ahead and start adding everything. We're going to add parsley to this right now. I'm just going to add it in the pot here. Add a little bit of the celery leaf. I'm going to add the barberries, and the barberries give it a beautiful color, I think. A little red is always good, especially since it's my favorite color. You know what, I'm going to move this over here because it's going to be easier to mix everything together. We're going to add the mango. Now, this recipe is a version of my old stuffing that I used to make during the holidays. And it calls for walnuts and pistachios and all sorts of fun stuff that, well, I'm not eating anymore. So if you want, you can add walnuts to this. Chopped up the walnuts, it actually tastes really, really delicious. And you don't need much in here. Maybe a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, because what will happen when you're baking this, it'll toast and it'll be very, very tasty. We're also going to add some of our spices, which is poultry seasoning, sage, and we're going to add rosemary to this. So let's start adding those right now. Let's see, we're going to add, oh, the rosemary smells so good, you guys. Now, if I can only open it. Sometimes these new bottles, they're not that easy to open. So let's add some rosemary. Now, if you wanted to use fresh rosemary, you certainly can, or you can use the dry. I don't buy a lot of fresh rosemary because I don't use it a lot, so for me, this is just fine. Now we're going to add some sage. And we're going to add some poultry seasoning. And don't worry, guys, it doesn't taste like chicken. So that was well, before I started using it. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be like chicken. I don't want it to smell like chicken. Is the last thing. So no, it doesn't. So we're going to add that. Now we're going to mix everything really well. This smells so good, you guys. I wish you were here. Now we are going to take this and we are going to add it to our rice mixture. So everything has been incorporated. We've mixed all the vegetables, the barberries, the mushrooms, everything with the wild rice. And now we are ready to go. At this point, this is really ready, but there's two ways that I do this. I love giving people these little pumpkins, because what I do with this is I go ahead and I kind of cook it, and then I take the insides out, and then what I do is I stuff it with the stuffing. I put the lid back on, and then I roast it in the oven, and then everybody gets their own little individual pumpkin. And they are delighted. I've been doing this for I don't know how many years. It's been well over maybe 18, 19 years that I've been doing this. That all the time, whoever comes to the house, they're gonna get their own individual pumpkin and their own individual stuffing. And the rest of it, whatever is left, I go ahead and I pour it in my baking pan and I cook it that way. Roasting these or baking these were super easy. So how did I do it? First, I went ahead and I washed it really, really well. Then I took them and I put them in my tray and I baked it in the oven. I believe it was at 350 degrees, and I did it for about 40 minutes. I don't want it to be so cooked that it's going to fall apart. I want it to still hold its shape. Once it's cooled down a little bit, I go ahead and cut off the top so I can have it. And when you're picking these, make sure you find it with the heads like this so that, you know, it's kind of fun to pick it up. Sometimes the little sticks are kind of short, like this one. This one was really kind of short, but this is what they had, so I went ahead and took it. So once you've cut this off, then you're going to take your spoon and you're going to go inside and you're going to take out the squash and the pumpkin seeds that are in there. That pumpkin that's in there and the seeds, it's really good to eat, so don't throw it out. I mean, you could use it. And you could leave some of the pumpkin in there. Like, you don't have to dig out the entire thing out of the cavity, because when it cooks with this, it'll be actually pretty flavorful. And when you're eating it and you're taking it out, it's really kind of cool. You could even do this for soups. So, which I've done the bigger pumpkins, and you're going to see my, there's a video coming out soon with the pumpkin curry, which we serve the pumpkin curry soup in an actual pumpkin. So get creative in the kitchen. And, you know, let's see what you guys are going to do. I'm excited to see how you guys are going to make these presentations, because it's really a kind of fun. So now we're going to take it, and you're just going to stuff these. And look how cool that looks. Just like that. And then we're going to put the lid on. We're going to stuff all of these. So our pumpkins are ready. I have filled every one of these little pumpkins. Look how cute these look. Honestly, they're adorable. And the rest of it I've gone ahead and put in this. I'm going to put this in the oven right now at 350 degrees, and they're going to be in there for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then when we come back, we are going to drizzle this with one of my favorite balsamics, California balsamics. This is the fig balsamic. The fig goes really well with this. It pairs really well with it. So we're going to put this in the oven, and then we'll be right back. Guess what, guys? We're done. Finally, look at these beautiful stuffed pumpkins. It's a little hot. I just took it out of the oven. So the tops of these have curled a little bit, but that's not a problem at all. And then we have it right here in our casserole dish. So What's really good on top of this, and you're going to add this at the very end, and not everybody has to do it, but I really love it, and it's the fig balsamic vinegar from California Balsamics. I'll put a link to this underneath the show so you guys will know exactly where to go. And with these balsamics, you're going to have to shake it a little bit. We are going to remove, I'm going to do it on one and show it to you. And somebody, this is really tight. Anyway, so once you get it open, just drizzle a little bit of balsamic vinegar on top of that, and then on top of this you can do the same thing. Just drizzle it. You don't need a lot, it just a little bit, just to add some flavor to it. Then put the lid back on. It just makes it really yummy, super rich. But I think it's really fun that everybody gets their own individual stuffing. We're going to close this up, and I just want to show you guys. Now, how fun would it be at your Thanksgiving dinner for everyone to get their own individual little pumpkin with stuffing inside of it? It's just another creative idea. And I would love to see how you guys are going to get creative in making these. So please, if you make this and you post it, make sure you tag me so I can see it, because I really do get a kick out of it. I absolutely love it. I love all your messages and your emails that you guys are commenting. It's actually really wonderful, and I want you guys to keep that coming. So I want to thank you guys for watching this episode, and I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't overeat, because I know we all have a tendency to do that. So remember, it's one bite at a time, one meal at a time, and we will see you soon at our next video. Thanks again, guys. Bye.